and welcome to another episode of The Strange Legend. I'm your host, Mr. Strange, and today we are going over Gearswap. We were supposed to continue our game develop series, but I've had a lot of questions from many different people, and I felt like this was the way to help you all at once. And we're going to go over all of the ins and outs of Gearswap, how you can make it more advanced, how you can make it more simplistic, how in depth you can get, and how not in depth you need to be. So we're going to talk about when you should add an extra set, when you should add an extra if statement, when you should add anything extra to make your character do more damage, etc., etc. And when you shouldn't, when you should make it more simplistic, when you should make your life a little easier. We're also going to go over some extra functions in there, like toggles. We're going to talk about arrays. I know we're getting into programming language. It's okay. Breathe, breathe. We're going to explain it all to you right here on The Strange Legend. So let's dive right in. We're going to move over to this here scene. You're going to see the game right away. Okay, so this is what you're dealing with on the basics. You've got your console here. You get to that by hitting insert, and we are going to go over another add-on today called Easy Nuke, but we'll get to that eventually. So the biggest thing that you want to be able to do is to pass Britt coming in with that 25-month subscription. Hi, Britt. You're gonna want to. How are you doing today? You're going to want to be able to pass things to that console. There's two ways to do that. You could just open the console and type your command right there. Yo, Alfie, thank you for that sub, and welcome to the Legends. Bada bing, bada boom. So, you can open that console, pass your commands right there. You can also just do a double backslash on the bottom, and you can't see it here because my head is in the way. Let's get my head out of the way. Get out of the way, Strange. There we go. So on the bottom there, you can see it double backslash GS sends things to Gearswap, or you can just do it if you need to send things directly to the console. You can do like double backslash Lua load or unload. You know, that'll unload different add-ons and such in the game. Or if you need Gearswap to just reload, you can just do GSR and that'll reload Gearswap. So really cool situation going on here. Now, let's show you. We're gonna scare the crap out of you at first, and then we're gonna back up, and I'm gonna show you what a real skeleton looks like. A real skeleton for Gearswap. This is like the skeleton of skeletons. We're going to show you what that looks like, and then we're going to explain the differences, show Skeletor, and go from there. So the first thing I'm going to show you is some documentation. We're going to pull up the Gearswap site, and we're just going to go over all of these commands. These are the Gearswap commands. So GS console, so GSC string. So if you were going to use that in game, you could do the double backslash, or you could just hit insert and type that exactly. This just sends a command to Gearswap, okay? And a lot of times in your script, you're going to have self commands in there, and that's when you do a self command, that's doing the exact same thing. I had trying to remember my Lua and if it's //LGS or //GSL. //GSL if it's Gearswap. Then you have GS equip. This tries to equip a gear set. So in your Lua, you have gear sets that are designated, and by using this command, you can tell it to equip one of those gear sets. Naked will only work if you have this set in this right here. Sets equals nothing in your Lua. Okay? And it has to be inside of your get sets section. What I'll do is we will set ours up to do that. So I'm I'm actually going to copy that. That'll be the first thing we do. I'll show you how to put that in there so that you can have it so that you can make your character naked whenever you feel like it. Aw, that sucks, Britt. Debug mode. This is going to be your friend when you're having issues. Debug mode will print to your chat window errors that are happening. Eval. Eval base will only work when you have debug mode active. And what it does is it evaluates a command that you're sending and tells you if it'll work. Show swaps, I like to use this. This tells you when things are successful. Yo, Sparrow, thank you for that follow, and welcome to the Strange Legends. Thank you for being a part of us, part of our community here. Part of us? One of us, one of us. So, show swaps is a really great command. It'll tell you when you successfully gear change during your um, play, I guess, would be the only way to do that. So you've got load string and L string. So this does the same thing. Zaven, this is where you were asking a question. So L and load do the exact same thing. So GSL and GS load, same exact thing. And to give you an example of something you might use, so you might do GS space load space character name underscore job. So for instance, Mordsith underscore BLU or Mordsith underscore BLU underscore gear. You know, there's many things that it could be. So, and these are the default locations that that command will look for. So any of these locations, okay, that file exists and it looks in this order. So first place it looks is libsdev, then libs, then in data, okay, and it'll look for the character name / string, so on and so forth. GS reload completely reloads all of Gearswap. GS export, everyone, this is a big one. We are not going to use any of the options today. Okay, so you can completely ignore this section. Ultimately and honestly, I'm going to tell you that you don't need any options. You don't need to tell it to send it to inventory or anything like that. We're going to go through, we're going to do this the mundane, easy way. Yes, it's not the most efficient, but it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. GS enable. It enables equip commands targeting a specific slot. We're not going to touch on this very much because it's just not needed. Export is nice because it's a fast way to copy current gear on and make a Lua for it. Exactly, Zaven. Exactly. Nice, R4. Congratulations on that interview. You're gonna nail it. You've already got the job. You just need to show them why. GS disable. This will disable the equip command. So it's literally the opposite of GS enable. Validate. This will check your set. So if the command here is GS validate set name, and then you do your pipe inventory, and you can run it just like that, and it will tell you if you have all of the items available for the set that you're using. And that's that. Those are the commands. These are just the commands for Gearswap. Now, I want you to take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm going to show you the script reference file or script reference section, okay? Please know this is scarier than it actually is. Here we go. So, I'm going to scare the crap out of you and then I'm going to calm you down. Like, this is how big the file is. As you can see, it's a monster. I know. Breathe in. There we go. So, there's something funny about Gearswap. They have this code right here. Get sets open and close parenthesis. This is the same thing for most programming language as file underscore load or on file load, or in like C sharp, it would be similar to void start. This loads as soon as the file is loaded. Okay, but where's the game? That's coming, R4. Chill. It's coming, I promise. Get sets loads as soon as the file is loaded. This is gonna declare all of your sets. Okay. Pre-target spell. This happens. So let's read it. Passes resource line. So when it says passes resource line, that just means it does something. Occurs when the command text hits the outgoing text buffer. Does not occur for actions that bypass blah 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 blah. We're not going to use this today. So I'm not going to go into crazy detail telling you what this does and how it works. We're not going to use it. We are going to use this. Precast spell position. Passes a resource line, occurs immediately before the outgoing packet is injected. Okay, and what this means is let's say that you cast Fire Thor. That will happen before you actually cast the spell. So the series of events is you press button, Gearswap interrupts and says, all right, let's change to this gear, and then you cast the spell. Okay? So that's the series of events here. It's a ladder. I was doing it this way like a sidewalk, but it's also a ladder. So you start at the bottom, you press the button, Gearswap says, oh, you're doing this, so now I'm going to do this and change your gear. And then you cast a spell. That brings us to the next one. Okay, so now we've started casting the spell, or used an ability, because it works for abilities too. So now we have the mid-cast spell. Passes the resources line, so does something. Occurs immediately after the outgoing action packet is injected. So you start casting the spell, mid-cast happens. So now you're casting the spell, you're in the process. Gearswap says, all right, now we need to change our gear again. And does that. So now you've changed gear at the beginning, now you've changed gear in the middle. Okay? Finally, we have aftercast. This occurs when the result action packet is received from the server, or an interruption of some kind is detected. So what this means is the aftercast happens if you get stunned, if you end up out of range, if anything that interrupts your spell happens, or you succeed. Like if you succeed, aftercast goes off. Okay? And this will change your change your gear, or it'll do all sorts of other actions. Then we have status change new old. So this is great for just getting status changes on specific styles. And this is easier to show you than it is to explain from the document, because obviously all it says is it passes the new and old statuses. That is the biggest part of this whole thing. I know this is a massive document, like there's so much to it, but in reality, these four, 1, 2, 3, 4, are the core of what you're going to be doing. This is the core of everything that there is in Gearswap. Everything. Everything you do in Gearswap is based on these. Now, there's obviously ways to do it with pets. You've got pet change, midcast, aftercast, status. This is going to be really good when I do my tutorial for Puppet Master, because I really like Puppet Master. Then you've got filtered actions. This occurs when the player attempts to cast a spell that they are unable to cast. Not something you're going to do very often. Like, sub job change, so you can actually have it change gear based on your sub job. And this one I believe will actually just change your sub job for you too. You can set it up to do that. Sounds good, Brett. Buff change. So passes the buff name and boolean that indicates. Now boolean, everybody, A Boolean is true or false. That's all it is. Okay, don't get intimidated by some fancy coding language. Booleans are true or false. Only two values. Indicates whether it was gained, true, or lost, false, as well as the associated player.buff details table. Does not fire if your buff bar does not change. For instance, overrating a march with another march will not trigger this event. That's important. But this will also allow us to perform actions when our buffs change. Buffs change. Buff refresh. This is something our dear friend Alfie was dealing with. Buff refresh passes the buff name in the associated player.buff details table for the buff. Fires when a status effect is overwritten. Then so that's where we needed to figure out what error that was. That's also why I wanted to break it down to basics. Party buff change passes the table of the party members who gained or lost the buff name, and a boolean that indicates whether it was gained or lost, true or false, and the resource table for the buff. Blah, 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 blah. Not something we're going to go over in today's video. Indie change, this is for you Geos. I believe it's for you Geos. This is going to basically be for indie, all of your indie spells. So when a indie effect is activated or lost, so Boolean, true or false, this fires. Self-command passes any self-commands which are triggered by /gsc command or /console gsc command. Okay? Self-commands is something that we're going to work with briefly today. We're going to talk about toggling, being able to have an array of sets that you toggle between. Again, arrays aren't scary, I promise. Then you have set combine. This is a really great command, and it will allow you to, rather than having to have an if statement with your spell and then have a whole nother equip set for that spell or that ability. What this does is you can take a equip set that you have and just modify it by one or two pieces. So instead of a big old line of text with all of your gear and having it change into all of that gear, you can say, all right, this is the equip set that I'm already using here. I want you to change that by these little pieces. And that's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And you can even
Easy
have it.
peasy.
Say again?
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Everyone, this is Sunbucks. Sunbucks is a dear friend of mine, and he's, when I need coding help, he's who I go to. So, we've got the decently good programmer and then the expert. Equip. So this is the command that equips everything. Hey, Nacho. Builds a set to be equipped, slot priority given to the last set. Change target. We're not going to use that today, so I'm not going to go over it too terribly much. Spell name in the language of your client. Okay, and what this means is that we're going to be using English. But if you have a German client, you're going to pass the command in German. So it's going to be spell dot name in the name of your client. You've got prefixes, targets, spell types, spell skills, MP cost. You can actually set it to check if you have enough MP, and then it'll yell at you. Elements, all sorts of crazy stuff here. Okay, spell target, player name, player mob names. You can get the user's current HP. There's a lot of stuff that Gearswap can do that we're not going to go over today because it's cool stuff, but ultimately it's not like crazy useful. Now this stuff we're gonna do using our export command, so we're gonna ignore most of this, and I think we can actually go and jump right in. Yeah, let's jump right in. So, before I switch over, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that we're going to look at a Lua that I was working on last night with our dear friend Alfie. And it's a lot of text. It's going to smash you in the face, but I'm going to show you a skeleton and then explain the differences. And we're going to take bits from that other Lua and just bring it into the one we're working on so I can show you how easy it is to actually do this once you get over being smashed in the face. What do you think of that description, son? Like getting smashed in the face over and over again.
That is the technical term, yes.
So, the first thing I'm going to do, most of you who have looked up tutorials for Gearswap, the first thing they tell you is to get Notepad++. Okay? Amazing piece of software. I love Notepad++, and I'm going to show you that first. But right after I show you Notepad++ and what this smashing yourself in the face looks like, I'm going to show it to you in Visual Studio. Okay? And I think you should get Visual Studio. It's free software. It's a little it does use a little more of your system resources, and it does make suggestions that won't work. So you do need to kind of ignore certain things. But the benefits far outweigh the detriments. And I'll show you what I mean. So first, let's open up Notepad++. This is Notepad++, and I'm quiet. Uh-oh, that's not good. Let me up my mic volume. There you go. All right. How's that, Nacho? All right. So as we're in here, I'm going to scroll to the very top. And at the very top, you're going to see function get sets. We have to have that. That's the same as void start for C#. That's the same as on load for other programming languages. So this is what starts everything off. If we don't have that, things are going to not work as well. You're going to notice we have send commands at the very beginning. This is just binding. So this is literally saying bind or, stick this to the F9 key. And this is the command that F9 is going to send whenever we press F9. Okay? And then so when you're reading code, you kind of want to keep things together in your head. So if we want to know what that actually does, we got to go find it. I actually know where it is. So, whoops. We come down here, F9 toggle TP set. So now if you look, it says if command equals toggle TP set, TP end equals TP end plus 1. So there's a value to this variable. This is a variable. Okay? There's a value to this variable, an integer to this variable, and we're going to add plus 1 to it when we run this command. And then it says if TP, that is greater than, right? I always get them mixed up. I never remember which direction is greater than and which direction is less than. I don't know why. But anyways, if TP end is greater than the sets.tp index, then TP underscore end equals 1. So all this is doing is saying that if there's only, so let's use an example. Let's say that there's only 2 sets in that TP end array, okay? And I'm going to have Sun here explain what an array is so that we can get that scariness out of the way.
Do you want me to do it now, yeah?
Yes, explain what an array is.
So arrays are used in all programming languages, at least all that I can think of. And to simplify it, an array is just a collection of things. And in a lot of languages like C#, you have to tell the code what thing is going to be in the collection. So you might see like an array of strings or an array of integers or like a list of strings, a list of integers. They're all just collections of like integers or strings. Whereas in Lua, what we're doing here, arrays don't have to have a specific type. So we can just create an array of, you don't have to say of what, it's just, you just make an array. And all you need to know is that an array is essentially a collection of things.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in Lua, arrays are a collection of things. In other languages, you have to designate what the collection of things is. Okay?
Yes.
So all this is saying is that it's going to look at how many things are in the index or in the array. Sorry, I didn't mean to say index. In the array. Um, and then it's going to calculate. So if we have two things in the array and our current value for TP underscore end is 2, it's gonna add 1 to that, which is gonna make it 3. But there's only 2 in the index, remember that. Okay? And it's gonna say, oh wait, there's more, there's less than 3 inside of that array, and it's gonna reset it to 1. So it cycles back to the beginning. And then it sends this command, so at input / echo. So in the game, echo just does a bit of text that only you can see, you the player can see. And it says TP set change to, and then it tells you the name of the set. So this points to the name of the set that's being used. Okay? Easy peasy, right? All right.
Lemon squeezy.
So again, this is Notepad++. Let's get back to the core here. I don't want to start explaining this until we get into Visual Studio. It's really cool. It does highlight certain words for you. It will show you open and close. So if I put my cursor here, it'll highlight the open and close parenthesis. So if I do it here, you'll notice that it highlights it there and there. If I put it right here, you'll notice it highlights it here and down here. Those are really great tools with this. One thing that I wish it did that it doesn't do, so if we were to do this and do a sets dot merpaderp, right? And then we did equals and we type a curly bracket, it doesn't automatically put in a curly, like a closing one for you. And that's something that I like, but obviously that's minor. There's nothing against this program. It's a very small program, very easy on your system, very easy to use. So from here, we're going to show you Visual Studio. I love Visual Studio. It's one of my favorite programs. So let's open Visual Studio. Boom. You can already see there's a lot more going on. We have a bigger selection of things that we can do. And like this has my documents folder open for me so I can quickly access other files if I want. And we're going to pull up the same thing I was just showing you in Notepad++, but we're going to show you in here. And you're going to notice there's a lot more colors. A lot more colors. So it really shows you the differences between the text. If we get rid of this, watch what happens when we get rid of this one quotation mark. Everything changes. And so it makes it a whole lot easier to find where the error is. Because can you imagine if this was all the same color and we had to find where that one missing quotation mark is, and we were like down here, like, and my cursor's now down here, where is it? Like, if this was all white text, we wouldn't be able to find it. It'd take us eons. But as we scroll, we can say, oh, look, everything's normal here. Everything's not normal here. Oh, look, we're missing a quotation mark. Let's just fix that. And now we fixed it. Another cool thing that it does, it highlights the same name. So if you click on this, it will highlight other data that matches. So for instance, Nibiru. I don't know how to say that. Whatever that word is, it highlights all the other instances of that word. As we scroll down, you can see that I've used it over and over and over and over again. Oh no,
Also,
strange. What's all this green? What's up?
I was just going to say, just to add on to what you said there about highlighting the words, if you scroll all the way to the top to where your idols are, and if you
Mm-hmm.
select so in the idle.index equals standard comma dt, if you click on standard, this is really cool. So it highlights all of the, so you can use it just not for just names of items, but for names of sets and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is huge.
Hmm.
Huge. I love it. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, and this is my suggestion, is you should make your set names. So like when you're creating arrays like this, you should make them unique to that section. So you're going to notice that in here we have standard. But when we do what Sunbuck suggested, we click it and we go to look, TP has a standard. And the other indexes have a standard. And the while that works, that's fine because you're not just when you call these things, you're not saying switch to standard, you're saying switch to idle standard or TP standard. So it works just fine, but if you make it unique and say you were to say idle standard and you camel hump, I mean camel case. For those of you who don't know, camel humping, as I like to call it, or camel casing, is where you do the every word in a so in this case every word here idle standard, but we make it all one word. We just capitalize the first letter of each word. That's what camel casing is. A lot of times you don't capitalize the first letter. I like to, but in some programming languages that can be a problem. Here, unless I'm mistaken, and Sun will correct me if I'm wrong, in Lua it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Yeah. I can't think of any situation that it would matter, but just in case. If you run into an error and it's telling you that it's on that line and you're like, I don't know what to do, just change it to a lowercase and see what happens. Okay. So if you were to do that, if you do idle standard instead of just standard, and now you change your idle set standard, so sets.idle to idle standard. Not only does that fix our issue of having multiples, when you change it, it gives you the suggestion and it says, hey, this is something that you have up here. So Visual Studio will make suggestions like that to you and be like, hey, you've got this declared. This is our suggestion kind of thing. So in this case too, like instead of saying DT, which for us means damage taken, we might do idle DT. Or I
Tea
don't
Earl
like
Grey, hot.
using I don't like using abbreviations because when somebody else is reading it, unless you comment and tell them what that abbreviation means, they'll have no idea. So we can say idle damage taken. Now, I want to point this out, okay, because you're seeing sets idle. This is a lesson tutorial. Nacho, we decided to push off the next lesson till tomorrow because I have limited time today. And so we're doing a Gearswap tutorial for Final Fantasy XI. And Lua scripting. Basically, this is Lua scripting. This is something that you can use for a lot of games. EverQuest, EverQuest 2, World of Warcraft has Lua in it a little bit, but those are like interface stuff. So it's very beneficial, but this is not directly related to our So You Want to Be a Game Developer series. We'll be picking that up tomorrow at noon. Yeah, tomorrow at noon. 100% tomorrow at noon. Because I didn't want to rush it. I want to be able to answer your questions because that's a big, big, big topic. We're getting into state engines. Okay. So again, like I said, try not to use abbreviations, and if you are going to use an abbreviation, I do recommend you put that in your comments. So, you've got all this craziness going on. You've got functions up here, unload functions. You've got sets that are crazy. You've got tons of text smashing you in the face. I want to show you what a nice clean skeleton looks like. Real clean skeleton. We're going to pop over here to Mordsith_blue. This is what a really clean pristine, not used at all skeleton looks like. Okay? I created an array here. We've got standard and damage taken. Okay? And I'm going to show you again that we shouldn't be using standard. We should be using idle standard and idle damage taken. Okay, so we're going to go idle. We're going to change these down here. And we're actually almost to the end of the tutorial, believe it or not, everybody. Like from here, it actually gets quite a bit easier. And like I said, with Visual Studio, it recommends things based on what you've done. So, as you can see, I commented my code here. Function get sets. All sets are defined below. Idle sets. So I've told you here, all of the sets are defined below this point. And then this is describing this section. I don't know why I have that line there. There we go. Idle sets. Sets that are active when no other actions are being taken. See if statements after the sets section. Okay, and I put that in there not because it needs to be there, but because it's for this video. Your sets don't do anything other than define your gear. And the reason I'm being very slow about this, not slow, but adamant about this, is it doesn't matter what you call your sets. You should call them things that make sense, but it doesn't matter. And I just want to show you kind of like an idea. We can say, so the only thing that you need to do is start it with sets. Gearswap wants you to start it with sets. But if we do sets dot Bob's Funhouse dot Bob takes massive damage, right? Like, oh, let's make sure we type that, right? And then we do equals open curly bracket, close curly bracket. That's valid. That is valid. That's a perfectly valid set. Like, we can literally plug some gear in that and call it later on. Okay. It's a hilarious set and not very professional, and is more than likely going to cause you issues later on when you say, what in the hell was I thinking here? But the point I'm making is that that is a perfectly valid set. It works. There is no naming convention that Gearswap requires other than starting with the word sets. Okay? So let's get rid of this craziness because I'm not all about I'm all about showing you, but then let's do things that are smart. Now, you've got functions afterwards. You've got your function get sets. This runs as soon as the file is loaded. This happens one of two ways. You either use the command to load it, or you change jobs and load it that way. Then you've got function precast, function midcast, function aftercast. Do you remember? We went over these. At the very beginning, we talked about it. Precast happens when you've pressed the button, but before your spell casts. Midcast happens after the packet is sent to the server. So you've cast your spell, you've equipped a gear set, or you haven't, depending on what you do. It sends the packet to the server, and then it changes the gear again. Okay? And then aftercast happens when the result is received. Now, this I'm a little fuzzy on, so we're gonna test this today. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of gear that I can test with, but because I don't have a leveled caster, so we're gonna have to test with what I have available. And so we're gonna be using Blue Mage to work on this. But my theory is that this happens, we know this happens after we receive the result packet. But my theory is that if we put it here and we put all of our magic attack stuff here, then it should, theoretically, increase the damage and allow us to equip right at the end of the spell. And Zaven here does seem to know a bit about this, so maybe he'll have some input. Then you have your self commands. These are commands that that you want the program to do, and to use that to give you the example that we used here. Self commands are toggling. I love the toggle function, so we're actually gonna steal the idle toggle function like this, and it's not stealing in all reality, because how do you steal code? You'd write it the same way in all reality. There's some signature, like you might write it slightly different, but the signatures come usually in how you comment code, not in how you write it. And so if we snag that, okay, we come inside of our function. So a function always ends in an end in here. Mid cast, say cure potency, you'll get your fast cast set, then your cure set. Got you. So boom. So, and then obviously it's not an else because this is the very first if statement we're putting in here. So if command equals toggle idle set, then it's going to increase that idle end, which we did declare right here. See? And look at that. If we highlight this, it shows us everywhere that it's highlighted. That's amazing. So, so what it's saying here is if the command is sent toggle idle set, then it's going to increase the idle end variable. So this is a variable. We could call that something entirely different. Okay, it doesn't have to be idle underscore end. That just makes sense. So it could be something completely different. Then it's going to check if the idle end variable is more than the amount of things inside of the table. So we have two things inside of the array table. Is that accurate to say, son? I don't think so. Like a table is something different.
No, so yes, you've got two items in the
Array.
just the array. Yeah, just the array. Yeah.
Yeah, a table would. I think tables are similar, but they're not the same.
Tables are they're multi-dimensional. I guess you could say a table would be a multi-dimensional array, which we won't get into.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's checking to see how many are in the array and then comparing your variable to how many are in the array. And if it's more than how many are there, it's resetting it to 1. So it just cycles around. Then it sends the command and tells you that it's changed to that specific set. And then it equips that set. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay? And you're going to notice we don't have that command set at the top. So I'm lazy. I don't like to type new code if I don't have to type new code. So I'm just gonna steal, not steal it, but snag it, because it's the same no matter whether I copy paste it or not. So we're gonna copy, come in here, right up here. Okay, paste. Send command, bind. So this happens at the very beginning. Before we set any of the sets, we're gonna bind the F10 key to this command. So when we press the F10 key, that command gets sent to the console. Easy. And now, I believe when we do this, you'll notice that it highlights the idle stuff down here as well. So, and if we put that, it's going to highlight toggle. Beautiful, right? I think it's beautiful. We're almost to the end, believe it or not. And we do have one little fun thing we're going to show you at the very end. I think you guys are going to like it because it's just a cute little thing to customize your experience. It's definitely going to be interesting. It'll be fun, I promise. So, as I was saying, excuse me again. I don't mean to cough in y'all's ears. the next thing we need to do is go over how you set your actual equipment sets. So we've got these declared. You've got your sets.idle. You've got your set idle damage taken, right? And then this declares them as part of an array. All right. So sets.idle.index is saying that all of the sets that are sets.idle in this section are part of the array. So we could have a sets.idle that's not part of the array. So we could go sets.idle dot passive idle set passive idle. Yeah, just passive idle. Actually, I like idle passive.
Also matches the naming convention then, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. That's what was bothering me. And so you guys are going to notice like Visual Studio is this wonderful, wonderful friend that always gives you your closing bracket so you never accidentally forget. That's why I like it so much. So this isn't part of, so when we click this, you're going to notice it's not part of the index. So when we toggle through, we press that F10 button, it's not going to toggle to this one. Because yes, it's part of sets.idle, but it's not part of the sets.idle index or array. So if you wanted to add it to it, all you would do is put comma, space, apostrophe, idle, passive, apostrophe. And now you'll notice that it is now part of your array. Okay? So, and what we're gonna go ahead and get rid of that because I don't want more than 2 in there. Because I don't. All right. So now, let's get into the game. I'm gonna show you how this is done. Easy peasy. Check this out, everybody. All right? You go into your gear, and now don't laugh, the gear here sucks. You go into your gear, you get your set up. So let's say that you want this gear. We're not gonna go too crazy here. This is the gear that you want equipped. Okay? All right. So now we're going to do double backslash GS space export. Gearswap, exporting your currently equipped gear as a Lua file. And now I'm going to show you where that goes. Okay, so we're going to open our file explorer. That's going to go into, I believe, I have dress up, and I will be turning that. I turn that on when I'm actually playing Zaven. All right, so you go into Gearswap, you go into data, and you go into export, and there it is. Look for the most recent file, so 11:17 a.m. That is our file. That's what we're looking for, and we can go ahead and open that. And in this case, it doesn't matter what we open it in; it's fine. And so all you do is you copy what's inside your brackets, okay, just like this. Copy. Let's go back into Visual Studio. And we're going to paste it right there. I do, yes. I like FFXI. I love XIV bar. And there you go. It's that easy, everybody. It is that easy. Now we have a idle set standard, an idle standard set. Okay? Easy peasy. So you make all of your sets that way. And it's the only thing that you need to remember is you want to use naming conventions that make sense. So we've got idle sets. Let's say that we want a new section. So let's make a comment, double dash, okay? These are going to be weapon skill sets, okay? And you can do some crazy assy stuff as long as you comment it out. If you want to make it all funky, go for it. I don't care. Okay? Weapon skill sets. Yeah, you can that's all if statements. That's all if statements. You can make an idle set for in town. You don't even have to call it idle. You can call it town set. You sets.town, sets.country, sets dot whatever you want. And in this case, we're going to do sets dot weapon skill dot so let's make this our attack set. Attack. And in this case, we are going to use an abbreviation. But it's because the reason we're using an abbreviation is because we have the word that we're abbreviating right before it. So if you can't look at this and say WS attack, oh, that probably means weapon skill. All right. That probably means weapon skill. Come on, guys. Let's get with the program. Open close brackets, enter to make it into something nice and sweet. And in this case, let's go ahead and do one more gear set because we're running out of time, so I need to speed this along. So GS export, going to open our file again, open the new one, grab, we're going to ignore that because I didn't change the gear at all. Oh, man. All right, let's do, here we go. Let's change that, change that, change that. There you go. Now let's do export. Come into here, open this, and now you can see that it's changed it all. We're going to copy that, go back into Visual Studio, and paste it. Now, obviously, this is not what I would use for a weapon skill. This is just for demonstration purposes. We're going to save because we haven't saved in a while. And what's the most important thing to all coders, everybody?
Save.
That you save, Mr. Strange! Real quick, I want to touch on something at the very bottom here. You see functions, Mike's Pizza. That's just to illustrate a point. You can make a function that does something for you and name it whatever you want. Naming conventions are up to you. The point being is that unless it's something that's specifically called by Gearswap, you can name it whatever the hell you want. Okay. So we've got sets of gear here. Now this one will actually equip the set when we toggle it. But what do we do now? How do we get it to switch into the gear that we want when we want, right? And that's what these functions are for. Okay? And there's one more function I want to snag because it's a cool function and I like it. And I just have to find it. Precast, midcast, aftercast, status change. This is the function I wanted to find. Status change is really cool because it's literally just checking for a status change of whatever it is that you set it to. So in this case, we're checking to see if you are engaged in combat. Okay? And then it's saying if new, so a status change, if your new status is engaged, then equip this set. Okay? And obviously that's not the set that we want it to equip. We want it to equip, let's use the weapon skill set. So in this case, we're going to grab this, and we're not indexing this set either. So we don't need all the index stuff. So we're just going to say, let's get rid of all of this. I want to do this way for you all so that you can see that it's not crazy. Because this uses an index that we're not using. So sets.weaponskill attack. Okay? That's how you do it if you're not using an index that you're toggling with. Okay? This is just, you want that specific set. Now, this is saying if your new status is engaged, you're going to switch to this set. Else, any other situation, so if you're not engaged, it's going to switch to the sets.idle. And in this case, I believe we have it all perfectly set up. And we can double check that by just clicking on it and going up and checking that everything is correct. So sets.idle.index, and then it's the idle end, which it gets it from here with this stuff. And there we go. So now that's going to change when we engage something. We can do the same thing here. So for precast, precast is yes, absolutely. I should have a panel below, but I will drop a link to the YouTube as well. Actually, son, are you tuned in?
Yep.
Look at that. Sunbucks coming in. Okay. Running a little low on time, so we're going to speed this up just a bit. I mean, if I have to be a tiny bit late, then I do, but okay. We've got our weapon skill, we've got our idle. Now we want it to change when we cast a spell. So again, I'm going to go grab the code rather than writing it because I'm lazy. So here we go. Here's another one. So if after cast the player is engaged, we do want to set this up. So instead of grabbing it from there and having to change it again, we're just going to put it in after cast. So all this is saying is if after we're done casting, and it's amazing. So this is checking for a new status change. So if you go from idle and you start attacking something, that detects the status change and changes your gear. When we put it here, it's actually going to say, after you're done casting a spell, is your status engaged? If you're engaged, switch to the weapon skill set. If you're not, switch to the idle set. Easy peasy. And that's the kind of stuff that you're going to want to do there.
It's also worth noting that the way it is at the minute, this wouldn't work because you've got if new is equal to engaged, but new isn't in there anywhere. So that's why in the other file it had player dot
Right.
status.
Yeah. So
engaged,
we do have to modify just a touch.
That's
Player
just to show that there are
status.
There are different ways of referring to the status.
Yep. Beautiful. Not new player. If player dot status. So if player dot status equals engaged. So this is for status change, and we're checking. So it's a new old. So you can see it here, new and old. If new equals engaged, then do this. Okay. Up here instead, now we're doing is the player's status engage. Engage. Engaged. And for us, we do have it as spell comma act. That's fine. It shouldn't have any detriment. Okay, so now we want something that's gonna equip in the middle of a spell. So again, I'm not gonna go into this craziness. If spell dot English magic fruit blah blah blah. We're gonna do your basic setup, and we're gonna do a second video over the weekend that shows you the non-basic setup. Okay, and so we're just gonna grab this here, and I'm gonna explain it to you. And okay, if your spell.action underscore type is magic. So this is saying that if you're casting a regular old magic spell, then equip this set. And obviously we don't have a precast FC standard set. So we're going to use our idle set. And we can just grab our code from right here. Okay. There we go. We're going to go and just empty that out, then paste. And we're missing a close bracket, a closed square bracket, and there we go. If the spell is blue magic, then we want it to use something else. And in this case, we're just going to use our weapon skill one because we're poor and don't have multiple sets. So In here, we're going to just paste that right in. So I like to delete first to make sure I don't have any extra letters, and then paste it in. So now it's saying, here we go, if your spell action type is magic, it's going to switch to your idle index set, your idled indexed set. If the spell type is a skill that is blue magic, then it's going to switch to this. You could also say if your spell dot skill is a weapon skill, you would switch to something else. And I believe we have an example of that in here under the weapon skills section. So in this case, you don't even have to do the spell type. You can do if spell.english equals that. That's a specific weapon skill. That's what that is. It's the weapon skill. Requiescat. Then equip this set, end it. Okay. And that's pretty much that's the basis of all of it. You wouldn't want these in your mid cast though, because weapon skills are instant. And so if you were to try and equip a weapon skill in the middle of its cast, it's already done. There is no mid cast. It goes straight from pre-cast to done. So you would want, let's go ahead and do this. Let's do Requiescat. I think I have Requiescat. So if we take this and put it in our precast section, and then let's go ahead and just switch it to this because it's all we have declared right now. And again, I want to stress this, you can make any set you want and put it inside this parenthesis. All right, get rid of that, put that in there. Lo and behold, now we have a working file, unless Sunbucks tells me that I missed something.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
What'd I miss?
So it's in self command, I think it is. If you go to your self command, yeah. So you're missing an end for the if. You've got an end for the function, but not an end for the if.
Thank you. See, this is why Sunbucks is here. It keeps me from embarrassing myself. Excellent. So yeah, we missed an end function for our if statement. And we would have found that out real quick, like when we loaded the file, tried to do that, and it's like, ah! So right now we have nothing under file unload, but we do have something up here on the load. We have the send command. So when we unload the file, we want to unload that. So how do we do that? And that it's actually a very simple code. It's send command unbind, and we bound it to F10. So all we're going to do is send the command to unbind it on F10. And I like to put my unload stuff at the very end. Makes sense to me. So all it is function file unload. You're going to send the command unbind F10. And then we're going to save it. And that's it. It should be that simple. Let's see if we're right. I'm going to be really embarrassed if this doesn't work, just for the record. So what we're going to do now, I had that in my documents folder so that I had, room to work on it. It's not going to affect anything in game. So all we're going to do is copy it. So I like to have a working copy and a live copy. So we're going to copy it. We're going to go into our add-ons folder. We're going to go into Gearswap. We're going to go into data, and we're going to paste it right there. Okay? If you have multiple characters, I'm 99.9% sure you can create a folder with the character's name, and we will go over that in the next video that goes into a lot more of the advanced functions of Gearswap. So then when we go in here, we can do GS L or load, right? Mord Sith underscore blue. And before I hit enter, I want to make sure, yeah, I forgot an H. Because I have two H's. There we go. And I'll fix that in my working copy as well. So now we have the file there, and we need to do .lua. User file problem. All right, let's open this. On line 10, a underscore is expected near sets. That's interesting. I wouldn't think that it would be needed. An underscore?
I don't see the issue.
I don't either.
Oh, I get it.
Okay.
So the issue is actually a couple of lines up. It's on line 8. So you've got sets.idle, but you don't actually create it. So you want to
Oh, I
recreate.
got it. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Okay, so I love when this happens, everybody. These are errors that you're going to run into and you need to be able to figure out. And I love when they happen in these videos because then you get to see the solution. Okay? So what's happened is I've declared this, but I never, what's the word? Initialized it? Or I've initialized it, but I didn't declare it. Is that right? Anyways, the point is I didn't do what I was supposed to. So I did sets.idle, but then I never put anything inside of it. Okay? And now we have sets.idle and it's empty.
Yeah.
And that's
It
what
knows
we
it's
want.
an array now.
Right.
Yeah.
So it knows it's an array now. And one of the things that we mentioned that we were going to do was make it so that you could be naked. You could use that naked command. And so up here above our idle sets, because we said everything below here is going to be idle sets until we add another comment. So now we're going to do sets equals naked. And I just want to double check that in our documentation. So we're going to open our documentation, come back up here. So I don't usually use the naked. So it's telling us that we don't need spaces, but I don't think it matters, unless I'm mistaken.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So now we can use that GS equip naked. So let's go ahead and save this. That should have fixed all of our issues. We save it, and we're gonna hit save as actually and fix our. I guess we're not gonna hit save as. Fine. So let's go to documents, come down here, copy this, copy, go back, delete that, paste, add our H because Strange is a noob, and try to load it again. Hello? Oh, that's why. All right. And we have another problem. Line 12. Attempt to call field index a nil value. Shouldn't be nil. Unless, did I forget an equals? Yeah, I forgot an equals sign.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, forgot an equals sign.
Me too.
So when it says a nil value, that's saying, hey, this is empty. And not only empty, there's just nothing there. Like, because in programming, empty, like empty and nothing is pretty much the same, but sometimes having nothing there is different than having it be empty. Does that make sense? Not really. Just know that in programs, there's a difference.
It's also worth noting as well that Visual Studio was kind of trying to tell us this. So if you get rid of the equals again, you'll notice index goes blue, doesn't it?
Yep.
And if you look at just above where we've got send command and then we can put the command in, you can see the send command line part is blue, and that tells us it's a function it's trying to call. So Visual Studio was trying to tell us that it expects index to be a function. So yeah, it was trying to tell us, we just didn't catch it.
see it. Yep. We're human. All right. And then we go through this process again. So we've saved. We go down here. We can go ahead and hit forward because I have everything. Blah. Delete this one. Paste this one. Someday, Mr. Strange will fix the problem. And now we have it set again. So now we go in and try again. And this is kind of, when you're dealing with a game and scripting, it is a little bit of trial and error. You need to be patient and be willing to work with the craziness. So now we have another problem. Attempt to index file weapon skill. So, and believe it or not, a lot of these are things that I put in there on purpose so that you guys can see this. So we know line 56, you see how it says blue.lua 56? That tells you line 56. So we go to line 56 and we're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So it's part of this weapon skill thing. And what does it actually say? Attempt to index field weapon skill a nil value. So that tells me that somewhere we needed an equal sign or something to figure out what's going on with this. And I'm not actually seeing the issue. Sets.weaponskill.ws attack.
Oh, no, I see. So we're up above, we've got sets.idle, and then we had to initialize the .idle part as its own array. We have to do the same with weapon skill. So you need sets.weapon skill equals, and then just an empty array.
You're right.
But then I don't know if it'll actually expect. It probably might expect an index as well, even if it is just the one. It might still expect it.
That I know for sure.
Okay.
Although it wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong. Sets.weapon skill. Excuse me. Open and close brackets. There we go. Ugh. What the hell just happened? There we go. That was weird. I didn't hit Control Z or anything, but it was like, nope. And then we go back, do this all again. Copy. Paste. And these are things that you're going to run into the first time you try to do these Luas. And that's why we're illustrating some of the things that you're going to run into. Okay, so let's go back in the game. We run our command again. Loaded your Mordsith blue.lua file. Amazing, right? Amazing. So let's go ahead and hit F10. Idle set change to idle damage taken. Idle set change to idle standard. And as you can see, it changed it. They're both the same now. But it changed when I initialized the set that was different. Okay. All right, so let's go outside and let's cast a spell. And I think that's going to be really good for us. It's going to be really, really good. I think it's going to work amazingly well. Ooh, yes. Thank you for that, Zaven. GS show swaps. Show swap sets to true. So let's go ahead. Oh yeah, because we're not actually swapping. It's not showing any swaps. Derp. All right, so we just need to get outside. Let's just go out here. I'm a dork. I'm a dork. So we're not going to be able to test the weapon skill because I'm about 15 minutes late getting over. This man over here on retail, nani? Yeah, I'm on retail right now. but I'm also like this Gearswap tutorial is usable on pretty much any private server as well. I can't think of any private server that this would not work on. So that's just something to point out. You are disappointed. Hey, I still play on Eden. I just needed a break. Chains of Promathia like killed me. Like it just killed me. All right. Ah. So, as you can see, when we engaged, it swapped the gear set. And you'll see status change. It changed the head, body, hands, legs, and feet. And it's only showing you the things that actually got swapped. So now, if we go ahead, do I have a buff on here by chance? Yes, okay. I think we're using the same set. Yeah, I think we're using the same set for magic attack. Yeah, can't be going that hard and so, yeah, dude, it was complete AIDS. Now, I'm gonna something that I just saw that was supposed to happen that didn't happen is it didn't change to our idle set when I disengaged. It should have changed to our idle set. So let's see what happens when we kill it. So now we've killed it, we disengage, and it's still not changed to our idle set. So we have some errors. And I think, unfortunately, that's where we're going to have to leave off for this one. Because I don't have time to actually finish troubleshooting that. Chests for days. The newbie area is ridiculous with chests. So, but I do know that if we really wanted to, we could force it into it by toggling our idle there. Okay, really quickly, the last thing, the fun thing that I was going to show you. Yeah, I do too. I really do too. The last thing I was going to show you, the fun thing, the really cool, just little fun thing we were going to do. I'm going to pull this over here. Is, where's my alert? All right. Check this out. We're just going to use a sound that I already have. Um, a sound that I already have because, well, just because. So we're going to put it in here. Send command. And then we're going to do this. We're going to put this down here, put this here. And we're just going to go grab this folder in here. I really hope this works right off the bat because otherwise I'm not going to be able to finish showing you this. It's just kind of neat. Here's swap. I think it needs to be in here, but just in case it needs to be inside data, I'm just going to paste it there too. All right. And now we're going to save it. And we're going to do our little magic again. Get back to documents. There we go. We're going to copy this. Copy. Go back into here. We can just, there. Delete this. Paste this. I really hope this works. And then do this. All right. Come in here. Did that actually reload it? I think so.
Unknown blue magic used.
See that, everybody? Check that out. With that little bit of command, now whenever we toggle, it plays a sound file. I know it's saying unknown blue magic used, but that's because that's a sound file that I had available. But you can make this any sound file, literally any sound file. I'm going to show you one last one because I do have a sound file that I can use. Where is it? Voice attack. Where's my voice? Oh, do I have it in downloads? That would be really convenient. Okay. here we go. We're going to... That ain't right. That ain't right. Oh, man. There's something wrong with me, y'all. There's something wrong with me. Oh, I know how to find it. In here. Where's my deploy? There's my deploy macro. Edit. There we go. Okay, so we're going to copy this one, copy it, and we're going to cheat a little bit. We're just going to rename it if it's the right file format. Sounds. Please be an MP3. Nope, of course you're not. I hate you. So we're going to have to change the code real quick. Gearswap sounds. I don't remember. I don't know which one it actually is, so we're just going to change it in both places. And for sanity's sake, we're just going to open this and do it there real quick. So sounds, we're going to change it to ok.mp3. ok.mp3, save. All right, and then
Unknown blue magic used.
you lie. What did I do wrong there? I don't have time for this.
Didn't it work?
No. Did I open the
Could
wrong
be-
one?
No, it could be that maybe Windows doesn't support MP3. It could just be that it only supports WAV or something.
Well, it still used the old sound file though. That's the weird part.
Oh,
I don't think it actually reloaded. Is I think what happened. Okay, yeah, it doesn't support MP3. That's what happened. So I'll convert that to WAV next time, and we'll continue this later. This has been our tutorial for Gearswap. We're going to talk next time this weekend. So not tomorrow. Tomorrow we're getting back into our game developer. But on Saturday, we're going to talk about the rest of Gearswap. We're going to get into how to do an if statement for a specific spell and a specific weapon skill. We're going to fix the rest of the issues that we have with this file. And we're going to talk about an add-on called Easy Nuke. It is a add-on that allows you to switch your elemental mode and cast spells from that element a lot easier. Stay tuned to the Strange Legend. Like I said, tomorrow we're back with our So You Want to Be a Game Developer. We're going to be finishing our text adventure game, or at least doing 90% of it. We're going to talk about state engines. We're going to talk about arrays. So very similar to what we did today. And we're going to be finishing that up and showing you how to do all of it. And for those of you who don't know, you can catch us on YouTube. You can watch this video on YouTube. And the link for that, if I can, yeah. Whenever I try and do something quickly, it just doesn't want me to. So the link for that is right here for all of you on all of our platforms. As always and forever, the one thing I want you all to remember is that you're all legends and to keep it strange. I love you all and have a nice day.
bye.